Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Emily if you're new here. If you're not, thank you for stopping by. We are on Vlogmas Day 4. Now I originally had another video filmed and started to edit, but I wasn't enjoying it. And that is that I filmed a reading for 24 hours. I didn't make it the full 24 hours. I knew that there was a possibility that I wouldn't make it. I tried to break it up in 2 days and I still just did not have a good weekend. There were storms here and storms cause migraines for me. So I was struggling with that and I actually DNF'd my first book, which is something that I just don't do. It was One for My Enemy by Olive E. Blake. I don't even have the book anymore because I actually put it into my community's little free library. I got about 150 pages through and I just could not follow along. There were too many point of views and it was just too much for me. My brain wasn't working. I was reading it really slowly and just could not get through it, unfortunately. For this video, for Bookmas Day 4, we will be doing my top 10 books of the year. I thought about doing my 25 for 2025, but I've read roughly 55 books. No, more than that, I think. I think I'm at 60 now. I can't even remember where I'm at. And a lot of those are actually by the same author. Like Allie Hazelwood, I think I've read 5 books this year. Rebecca Jenchak, I read 8. Elsie Silver is 5. Layla Sage is 4. Tessa Bailey is 6. And I just kind of felt like it wasn't really fair to compare top 25 books because I knew a ton of authors would be repeated. So I just wanted to do top 10. It's a little bit easier to put out 10 books instead of 25. And I didn't really go by my rating scale. I said in, I think, my last video that I was kind of changing my rating scale anyways. I used to be really harsh and things needed to be absolutely perfect to be a 5-star. When I haven't, I wasn't the greatest English student. I got a B or a B+, I can't even remember. And just like, it's not fair for me to sit there and say this has to be absolutely perfect to be a 5-star. So I've loosened the reins, but still picked my top 10. Now these are going to be in no particular order. They're just kind of the ones that I grabbed because I was like, yep, unforgettable, remembered the story, remembered the characters. Now I do mostly read romance and have mostly read romance this last year. I've talked about it. In the next year I plan on getting into all of the fantasy that I have behind me here, and we'll get there then. So we're gonna, I think it's literally 9 romances. 1 is considered paranormal, and then I do have a sci-fi, quote-unquote sci-fi book. I think people have categorized it as sci-fi, but some people don't really agree with that either. So I'll start with the sci-fi, and that is The Compound by, I think it's Ashlyn Rowell. I think it's Ashlyn. This one, I think everybody's seen it. It was considered Lord of the Flies and Love Island. I said it in my wrap-up that I have never seen any of those things, so I didn't really know what to expect from this book. I absolutely devoured this in a day. Loved the concept of everything and just loved the story of what this was. I know some people had said they were angry about it, but I'm guessing they were angry about the fact of the Love Island aspect of it. What I've heard of the show Love Island is that it's obviously like couples and people like physically dating and being into each other. Well, that kind of wasn't really the thing in here. It's part of it, but it's not 100% of the storyline. And so I think people were a little bit upset with the fact that there wasn't kind of more lovey-dovey stuff happening in this book. Like, in my personal opinion, I think some people do rate their stuff a little bit off of the smut or the romance aspect of books, and when they heard Love Island they expected that, and it wasn't in here, so they didn't like it. I could have cared less about that part of the book. Just concept of this reality show in some sort of world that we don't even know what's going on outside of this compound. It just like, oh, there's so many questions, and just drew you in and just really stood out in my mind. And like I said, I normally read a lot of romances, so this just blew my mind. So definitely one of my top 10. The next 2 are by the same author, and it's Ready or Not and Promise Me Sunshine. These books, not only visually stunning by Cara Bastone, I didn't say that, by Cara Bastone, these books visibly stunning. The story's so good. I actually liked Promise Me Sunshine better, but Ready or Not is still a standout to me. Yes, it has the pregnancy trope, but you literally start the book with her finding out she's pregnant, and it's like literally the first line of the book, so I'm not ruining everything. And you go through trimesters with her and her friends and the storyline of like her past and her relationship with her friends and her relationship with the father of the child. It's just a really good and well written story. Now, how I said I can't really judge anything off of writing, I do know that this writing is so different than any other like romance book that you've ever read. And then this one, when you get into talking about grief. Now, everybody knows grief is completely different for everybody. The way the grief was in this one is kind of like how I experience grief. Now, in this one, she loses her friend before the story begins. I lost my mom when I was 19. And she was my best friend at the time. And so how Lenny, the FMC in this book, like handled grief was like exactly how I handled grief. And so I was just so captivated and completely in this story. And it's just like I understood and related so much with this character. I think it's the most I've ever related to a character ever, and was just completely entranced by this book. And again, the writing's so good. She has another book coming out, I think March next year. And I'm just like, I already pre-ordered it and was like I know it's gonna be so good. She is definitely probably my favorite author of the year, and I've only read 2 books by her. Just so good. We have another 2 books by one author. We've got Deep End and Mate. I'm gonna start with Mate because it was my most recent read by her, and this book was so good. I had put off Bride for the longest time. I said it in my wrap up, and I am definitely a Mate fan. This one was so more intriguing to me than Bride was. I think I was captivated for the story with the end of Bride, like in the epilogue that happened, because it leads you to this book. And this one was just so much more, I don't know, I just liked the storyline better, I'm guessing is kind of what I'm pointing at. And it was, and it is good and just still memorable to me. So those are my takes on that one. Now to talk about Deep End, this one I know is very controversial. It was considered like it was supposed to be her like spiciest book ever, and it kind of was. And a lot of people did not like this when it first came out, and a lot of people's reviews pushed me from reading this book because they were like, we don't like it, I just don't get it. Pushed it off for probably 2 months. Then I read it, fell in love with it, listened to the audiobook, and read along while listening to the audiobook, and was like, this is a actually really good story. Now, I do wish it did dive a little deeper. That was a pun, so unintended. Did not mean to do that. I wish it went a little deeper into her twisties, I think is what they called it, where she like was having trouble doing one of her dives. I do kind of wish it went a little more into the mind behind that. But this story I thought was so good. Lucas, I think, is one of my favorite MMCs that she's written because he was so caring for Scarlett beginning to end, even with just the way that he called her Scarlet while everybody else called her Scar. I think she had a nickname, but I can't remember it now. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I thought it was really good, and I've always loved the aspect that Allie always writes about women in STEM and just smart women. I'm not saying these other people aren't writing smart women, and I've loved every aspect of that part of her writing. So we really love this, and just their storyline was so cute. And I always love too with her writing and her books, she brings in other cultures, like either her characters are born in different countries and come to the US, or have traveled the world and been to other countries and experienced cultures, and we're seeing different personalities from different cultures and their background, and I love that. So we really liked this one. Next, Overruled, Lana Ferguson. Loved this book. I hadn't read anything about lawyers yet, so this was the first one, and it was a fun read. The teasers that she was giving out to this were very good. I did say in my video where I reviewed the 50 books that I've read, the teasers almost kind of ruined this because you read teasers for like 6 weeks up until the book came out, and then when the book came out you were like, oh wait, I've already read this before. So that kind of ruined it for me a little bit, but that taught me not to read teasers, to just read the book when it comes out and skip teasers. But this one was really fun, rivaling lawyers. He's had it bad for her basically. She's been trying to ignore him. Things happen. Very good story. Lana is a auto buy for me basically. I will buy anything that she puts out because her stories are always so fun, and I love following along with them. First time caller BK Borison. We all know and love this book, and we are all patiently awaiting February 24th, I think, is when And Now Back to You comes out, and it was just a fun read. I think it could have been a little bit shorter. I don't think it needed to be exactly 400 pages. I think it could have been a little less, but I don't care. I still read it. BK is another one of those authors who are basically an auto buy for me, and I just absolutely loved every minute of reading this book. I do plan on reading this before And Now Back to You comes out just to get a little refresher, but I just So good. So good. So good. All right, a recent read, Not Safe for Work, Nisha J. Tooley. This one was a fun one. I wish I read it during the summer though, because it does have the summer vibes, but it did take me a little bit out of the winter blues here. This one, we have like two co-workers, essentially kind of, he is technically a step above her, but for a different team, and their company picks two people who are promising candidates to go further in the company. He's actually the son of one of the owners. Apologies if the quality is a little different. I had to change settings. My camera was getting a little too hot. I was saying though, for this one, he is the son of one of the like owners or founders of the company, so he's automatically chosen. She doesn't think she's chosen. She gets chosen. They go on this retreat. They've kind of had this like rivalry kind of going on, and then things happen. But the ending of this book, probably the last couple chapters, I don't want to say what happens because it kind of ruins the book. I wasn't expecting it, but there is an ending, like I said, the last couple chapters are just, you're like, yes girl, let's do this, let's like fight. You're like, I'm on your side, let's go. This unfairness that happened and what she does and how this happened. I don't know, it just, I don't want to ruin it. I feel like I'm saying too much already. It's just amazing. Read this book. It's very good. It does take place for the most part in Hawaii, so I think you could read it as like mid-winter, as like a vacation read kind of thing. If you're a mood reader and you only want to read wintry books in winter, that's fine, but if you want to take a little vacation from those wintry books, read this one. So good. The Gingerbread Bakery. This one I almost think is number one. I've been waiting for this book since I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. We talked about this in another video. The banter between these two that has led up to this book, because I thought this book would be second in the series, but it's not. It was fifth in the series. Sorry, cats are playing in the background. This was just chef's kiss. Everything that I ever wanted from this book came and more. You wanted to know why these two bickered so much, and you learn why these two bicker so much and how you arrive to the end, I guess. It's just so good. It is a dual timeline. I go back and forth on dual timelines if I like them or not. This one was pretty well done. It's definitely a fun series to read, and I do always recommend it. You can always just read The Pumpkin Spice Latte in fall, The Christmas Tree Farm in winter. This one, does it take place during winter? I can't 100% remember. Yeah, there's snowflakes involved, so it is a bit of a wintry one. Still a very good book, and definitely my favorite of the series, and almost my favorite of the year. Last book is Fierce Obsession by S. Mastery. Now, I don't talk enough about this series or this author. It's the fifth and final book of the Hockey Gods series by S. Mastery. The first one is Brutal Obsession. I have them all hanging up right there. Brutal Obsession was the first dark romance that I read. Little intense, didn't really know that when I went in, but nonetheless read the next four, obviously. Now, this one actually came out in 2024, and I could not fathom ending a series. It just was so painful to me to think about, and so I waited until this year. I did a whole reread and I read this one finally. If I go through the whole series, Secret Obsession, the third book is my favorite storyline of the five, but this one is still really good, and it's because, I don't know if this is spoiling or not, but throughout the whole series you hate you hate him, you think he's the worst. He kind of redeems himself in this one. Not enough to become my favorite, but enough to be on my top 10 this year. It is just so good. If you have yet to read hers, please dive into it. She also has this backlog right here as well, and she's currently in the process, I think, of republishing some of these. And then she also has a set with S.J. Silvis. She knows what she's writing, and that's important when it comes to hockey, because it's a sport a lot of writers get wrong, because I've read other hockey romances where they just don't even they're hockey romances, but you don't even really touch hockey in the book, and I appreciate that for a little bit, because they're not going to do something wrong, but she gets it right. But these books and this author, so good. And I have something special coming. I think they're coming in January. I have special things coming from this author that I'm so excited for, that I have been dying, because they were my birthday gift to me this year, but I knew they wouldn't arrive until basically the next year. And so we were just like patiently awaiting those to come. I will make a whole probably separate video on them, because I'm so excited for what is to come from S. Mastery. But that is my top 10 of 2025. If you've read any of the books I've read, please let's discuss them in the comments. And if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment if you want to, and we will see you on the next one. Bye!